Welcome to Local SEO in 10. This is your go-to podcast for answers about how you can grow your local business online, easily and quickly. Brought to you by local SEO experts, Magnified Media in Walnut Creek, California. In each 10-minute episode, our digital marketing expert, Adam Duran, answers your questions on how you can get more leads for your business fast. Remember, if you're not taking care of this part of your business right now, you can bet your competitors are. And now, here's our host with the questions, Jamie Duran, and our expert with the answers, Adam Duran.
Hello, Adam.
Hello, Jamie.
Happy Halloween.
All right. Yeah, we're almost there.
Yes. Very good. Do you have any scary things to freak us out about this year, or this podcast about local SEO?
Of course I do, but I don't want to bring everybody down.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Well, it's just, I know you have a full slate.
I do. Every week I'm trying to bring value to our listeners, and this one is one that I have experienced and I have seen from afar. So I wanted to address it in this podcast, and that is nonprofits. So if you're on a nonprofit, many times you have you have board members, and those board members have different responsibilities. And one of the things that happens is they might not be there next year, or they might inherit the previous board's decisions. And many times those decisions might not really have been based on what's best for the nonprofit, but instead might have just been, done because it's easy and just to get it taken care of. Because a lot of times those nonprofit boards, it's not their money, their own money that they're spending on these services. So they might not care as much. So if you're listening to this podcast, first, thank you. This is a good place to start, because what I've seen when a nonprofit brings us into their organization is usually everything is super scattered. And you have one person who decided, 5 or 6 years ago to trust their brother-in-law's son with their web hosting. And then they don't realize that web hosting shouldn't be $180 a month.
Wow.
But because they just didn't know at that time and no one really cared. And that just became the norm, right? So that kind of thing, well, you want to avoid that if you can, because whatever, if it's discovered 3 years later and then, that brother-in-law's son, maybe usually is not the most responsive, definitely was a hobbyist. Definitely this wasn't their job, but now, they've been latched on to the nonprofit for years and they love it, right? Because that's super easy money. So really what you want to do when you have a nonprofit, you want to kind of consider consolidating all of these tasks that you're doing under one roof. So bring in an agency that does all of the things that we're going to talk about today, because then they can do it professionally, they can do it promptly, and you can always move on from them. And so you have a point person. So I've seen many times where you ask, hey, we need a login and password for whatever account. And then you're like, well, Murray set that up, and Murray now retired and died. So there's no way of recovering that. So that happens all the time. And so you cannot do that, because say you have a YouTube channel from years ago that you guys have been using, and now you want to add stuff to it, but okay, Murray's dead. He got eaten by an alligator in Florida. Then we're done. Then, we have to start all over. We've seen that with LinkedIn accounts, LinkedIn groups, Facebook pages. The list is endless. So don't do that. All right. So consolidate under one agency. That agency should have a master password list for you that you can now build from and use. Make sense?
It does. I have a question.
Sure.
So first you said that this was not going to be a scary podcast, but now everyone's terrified of Murray coming back as a zombie to put in his password. Second one is a nonprofit I'm involved in, they did have this issue. And Facebook, believe it or not, made it super easy to proceed with, posting and running that account. No, not at all. It was a complete nightmare. So
yeah. So at least an agency, when you bring them in, should be able to figure out all this stuff for you. I know I've spent a lot of time doing that. And then once it's set up correctly as a business manager account, all of these platforms do have that. So basically what I'm saying is don't depend on a hobbyist. You have to depend on a professional to do this, because to navigate everything correctly, it does take experience, knowledge, and skill. And if you don't have that, if you're just leaving it up to somebody because they think they can do it for free or very cheaply, you're going to regret it, especially in a year or two when there's a problem pops up. So I want to go quickly through kind of the strategy, though, once you do bring on an agency. And this is kind of like, making use of the whole buffalo. Okay, so definitely you want to have, your social media strategy. But what I always want to start with is the website. Your website, we always say here, should be a living, breathing, kind of growing creature, just like your nonprofit is. It shouldn't just be 3 pages that sit on the internet and just aren't doing anything. Member benefits could be like, if you have if you're some kind of lawyer-based nonprofit, you can do member spotlights. You can have on the website, I'm talking, your website should also have your events coming up. Like I said, member spotlight. You should open up that blog on your website to those members to write something, 2-3 paragraphs about why they are members. And then you can let them write 1 or 2 paragraphs about their business. So what that allows them to do is make a page on your site with a link to their site, which helps them tremendously, because your organization, it's a nonprofit. Google does understand that, and you have power. So why not make that a member benefit? When you put it in their corner to do, then now they're creating that content that now you can use that to post to your social media platforms, to post to Facebook and LinkedIn, et cetera. That member spotlight page. It's one of the benefits of being a member. So why not let people know about it? And if they're willing to do a short video, same kind of thing, you can have put that on your YouTube channel, make a video playlist of members talking about the benefits. And obviously, if it's a business-based nonprofit group, then they can definitely, it's a good place for them to also just say, hey, this is what I do. Thanks for having me, stuff like that. So it kind of makes it a win-win for everybody. And this is one of the things that I see that nonprofits that bring us in, they've not really even considered that. So it's super important to do. Make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So those things, sharing those on social media, that's definitely what you should be doing. And then also newsletter. So the newsletter can be the hub of all of these things that are being done on the website and on social media, because maybe your current members aren't even going to the website. Maybe your current members aren't even, really interacting with the business or with the organization on social media, because, let's face it, social media can organically only reach so many people. So now where the newsletter comes in is the open rates. You have your email address. You can send all of member spotlight, upcoming events, YouTube videos about the benefits of being a member. And you can have so much great information for that newsletter that you can have that be sent out on a monthly or bi-monthly or whatever, twice a month basis. Okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Question.
Are you done with the password list that's written on Post-its and then the gal?
That'll be my last point. But
all right.
For the newsletter, you want to have something on your website that does have a newsletter, subscribe to our newsletter kind of thing. But make sure that it's not just a button that just says subscribe to our newsletter, because no one's going to really fill that out except for spammers. So make sure that you have some kind of valuable resource. So some kind of guide or step-by-step tutorial, some kind of how-to article or something like that, a PDF that they can get access to. That way they fill out their email address. They say, yes, I want this PDF. And yes, I want to subscribe to your newsletter. Bam. Now you have that email that you're giving something valuable away for that email address, which now you can send that newsletter to. And of course, they can unsubscribe anytime they want. And if they don't, you know that they're finding value in that newsletter. So don't just have a static subscribe to our newsletter thing. Make sure that you give something away that's of value. All right.
Nice. Yep.
Definitely. The last thing, you want to have a succession plan in place for your passwords and stuff like that. You don't want to have the only one person in charge of any kind of platform that login and password. So make sure that everyone has a role. Every board member should have a role, but no one should have maximum authority over everything. If you can avoid that at all costs. So one person, never. 2 or 3 people, that's best. They're on the board, so they're trusted. You just want to make sure that if someone passes away or just becomes non-communicative, then you have some way of recovering, right? So that's it, Jamie. Whew, fast one.
Fast one, but you left out one big one, which was, what really narrows this all into focus is when the website or the email for the nonprofit gets hacked. And then it's, oh my God, how do we fix this? And how can we stop sending out these images to all our members?
Yes.
And members expect immediate action, not we're working on it. We're trying to get the password from, Bob, and
yes.
Bob is
two-factor authentication is what we recommend, or what we have internally. So yeah, we definitely want to make sure that every board member, when they're accessing these things, they have two-factor authentication set up. Yeah.
Yep. Well, you Definitely. Can do a podcast on that next. So
just look up two-factor authentication, please. I'm not your customer support.
I'm not saying you are, but just telling you, this is this will certainly motivate the nonprofit to get these procedures in place if they're hacked.
If you don't do it, you will regret it.
Yep. Completely agree. So
that's it.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, with that, Adam, happy Halloween, and happy Halloween to all of our listeners out there. If you do have a question about this topic or any other topic in search engine optimization, go to our podcast, click on go to our website, magnifiedmedia.net, click on the podcast button, put in that search term that you're looking for. And generally there's at least 2 or 3 podcasts. And if not, go to our LinkedIn or Facebook page and send us a message. We're happy to get back to you, and hopefully we'll address it on a future podcast. And then if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it out, and please make sure to give us 5 stars wherever you're listening to it. And we will talk to you next week.
That's all for now. Thanks for listening to this episode of Local SEO in 10 with Google local marketing expert Adam Duran. Join us each week for answers to your questions on how to best harness the power of the internet to grow your business. Speaking of questions, got some? Message us through our Facebook page, Local SEO in 10, and we'll be sure to give you your answer on an upcoming episode. This episode of Local SEO in 10 is brought to you by Magnified Media, the leading online marketing agency in Northern California, who invite you to grow your business by magnifying your online visibility and credibility. Visit them on the web at www.magnifiedmedia.com. Magnify your business, magnify your profits.